Yes, we'll just discuss about the press and the freedom movements, how it will just gone hand in hand. So the British government introduced a number of legislations. So from there, so pre-independence, so there is one more. Before that, I need to share one more thing. So second press. Yes. Yeah. After we just in previous class we discussed about the how the first newspaper was started. So when who started? So what is the purpose of the starting the first paper? So and the why this particular newspaper and the particular during that British period, how it will just get the ire of the from British India government. So that's kind of when they from there. So they have been first paper when it started. So the other papers simultaneously started from the different British Indians only. So then. In order to just curb, in order to just put them in some sort of restrictions, so British government introduced a number of legislation from time to time to curtail the press freedoms. So Indian newspapers became highly critical of so during the Lord Lytton's administration, especially regarding its inhuman treatment to the victims and the famine of 1876 and 77. So they have treated. So what kind of measures? So where this Lytton government is valued. So why this kind of taken measures or preventive measures, or maybe the kind of been health facilities that is not able to just give the people. So during this famine, so that's kind of inputs that highlighted in the newspaper that got the people the got the British governments uh, became aggressive after seeing this items against the British India governments. So that government stuck back with the Vernacular Press Act 1878. So that way a Vernacular Press Act. So it was very popular. So Vernacular Press Act is here and there. So we also go into the details of Vernacular presses from where in the newspaper. Southern regions and northern regions as well. So how many papers have started? So first newspaper started in Kannadiga and Marathi and Bengali. We already just discussed about Bengali, and we spoke. We will also discuss about the Bipin Chandrapal, Raja Ram Mohan Rai. So who started? Why started that? Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Gandhi. So we'll go in detail. So that will just this is starting the first module. So most probably we'll talk about just we'll discuss about the kind of way. So on how the newspaper introduce what kind of activities, what kind of measures, what kind of laws. From time to time, just to just curb to just control the press was introduced. So this is one sort of the Vernacular Press Act. So that was introduced to just control the Vernacular Press Act. So that's why first the Vernacular Press Act was been permitted to better control the vernacular press and effectively represent the seditious writing. So journalists publish the papers with courage. Still, instead of just allowing just putting these restrictions as well. So Indians not able to just still just continue the continue to just publishing the newspapers. Next, moving on to next one. So this, yes. So what are the rigid rules under the British rules? So an ordinance was introduced in 1923. So by acting government general, so John Adams called the Adams regulations, which made the restrictions on the press more stringent. So it laid down that every newspaper, journal, pamphlet, or printed matter in any language should obtain a license from the Governor General in Council and signed by the Chief Secretary before the publication. So this kind of regulations, so that Adams, the acting Governor General, so that Adams, it was popularly known as Adams regulations that was introduced to just in order to just curb, just control the newspapers. They have so those who are publishing, those who are just printing the newspaper, they're supposed to get the permission, get the license from the Governor General, Council signed by the Chief Secretary, so to just publish. So whatever whoever just starting the newspaper, they need to just get the license. So in the wake of the mutiny of 1857, the Lord Canning, Governor General, and the promulgated the Press Act of 1957, which reintroduces all restrictions imposed on the press by the Adams regulations of the 1825. So that kind of a, so the kind of a way, the way, the why, I mean, the newspaper is getting more popular. So the kind of opinion pieces, the kind of, I mean, motivating pieces, that how it will just work. I mean, how the newspapers are working against, I mean, just through their articles, through their opinion pieces, they are able to just highlight the, I mean, atrocities committed by the British India government against the Indian people, on the kind of, I mean, rules and regulations, restrictions made by this British India government. That kind of, I mean, new opinion pieces or maybe articles that will just instigating the people that thought that it will just go beyond their control. That's why they introduced this kind of, I mean, regulations to control the newspapers. So in 1967, the law called the Press and Regulation of Books Act 1867 was passed, which sought to regulate printing presses and newspaper by the system of registration to preserve copies of newspaper and books printed in India. So that's one more law. It's called, I mean, Press Regulation of Press and Registration of Books Act 1967 was passed. So one more act that was just introduced to just control the press. So the most controversial law against the press was passed during the Viceroyalty of Lord Lytton, so 1878, and it was restricted to the Indian-owned language press. The most controversial law against the press was passed during the Viceroyalty of Lord Lytton. This was, see, the kind of, I mean, Indian language vernacular press. It will also call the vernacular press, that will just see here and there, and just in southern India, we'll take about them in regional newspapers in Telugu, Kannada, Marathi, Bengali, Gujarati, Punjabi. So many people started from the different regions. So they were just the main intention of the evening newspaper that will start just that will be published in a local language, and that local language people able to understand, people able to know. So what kind of activities going on? So how the, I mean, people are suffering? That they will be just go on publishing the atrocities, to go on publishing the pieces. So the kind of, I mean, activities, I mean, the kind of, I mean, elements, kind of, I mean, uh, issues that will just instigating the people, that just motivating. It will not motivating, instigating it away. So that way, so they thought that scared that, I mean, it's still, it's been allowed continuously. It will be a big threat to the British India government. That way, they will just introduce this law to just control the local language newspapers. So the Press Act of 1910 so provided that every keeper of the printing press who was required to make a declaration under the Press Registration of Books Act 1867 should at the same time deposit an amount of not less than 500 or more than 2000 rupees, as the magistrate might acquire the, which might be forfeited for violation of the law and the fresh security demands. That kind of, I mean, say, so those who are just under this 1910, so this act provided that they need to just deposit the amount not less than 500 rupees and not and more than 200 rupees, as the administration might require. So that will be kind of a minimum they are supposed to deposit the 500 rupees. So suppose if it's, I mean, magistrate, I mean, the local provincial, I mean, feel that, they will violate the violation, they will able to fringe or maybe violate any kind of this law. They need to just put, I mean, just impose huge amounts in a particular publications. That's, I mean, 1910 Act when just, I mean, introduced to just deposited amount. The first issue of weekly of the Times of India. So we just next we discuss about the other things. So simultaneously, that means English newspaper started from the different regions. So first issue of the Times of India, we discuss about the Times of India, how it will just introduce, how it will just launch. It was first introduced as a bi-weekly journal, so which later years became the Times of India, was published in Mumbai on November 3rd, so 1838. So first it started in Mumbai. So in 1861, the Robert Knight, the editor of the Mumbai Times, so amalgamated his newspaper with the Mumbai Standard and combined the Telegraph and the Courier to formulate the Times of India. So these are the newspapers that will just came to the and formed one newspaper. So it will called in Times of India. That's, I mean, how this Times of India is merged. I mean, different newspapers merged in Times of India. This is, I mean, Mumbai Standards and as well as the Telegraphs and the Courier just merged in the Times of India in 1861. So under the editorship of this Robert Knight. So it was the first journal in India which started making use of writers' news services in 1860. So so Reuters is one of the most news agencies, one of the news aggregated will sell. So we'll just give the news items related to the worldwide. So what is happening in the throughout the world. So it will give news, it will give images, it will give the visuals. So that way the news agency more popular. So that way the first they was identified the potentiality of the news services, writers news services, and that just started using the writers news services. Under the Knights, the Times of India established a great tradition of sober journalism, prompt presentation of news and community services. So under the the kind of earlier there will be kind of a one paper, maybe it will be kind of tablet size. It will be here and zigzagly published. So under his leadership only, under his leadership only, he's brought about certain changes. He just concentrated on the presentation of the newspapers, how the particular item will just get the placed at a particular place. So what kind of items will be placed in the first page, what kind of items should be posted and presented inside the pages. So that kind of identity, that kind of a presentation, so which item should be given the more prominent or maybe just more space in first pages. So what kind of a headline should be there? So then they will be the kind of things. So they promptly, so whatever the information they get, immediately they will get published, get the newspaper news items. So then they will just promptly able to just publish the news items. So one more thing in this, new under Night, the kind of is the community services established. See how he able to just concentrate the community service through his paper. So try to just have the kind of a community, what kind of grievances they have. They've been able to just address to the paper. They will be able to just give the solutions, or maybe kind of give them directions how it will be how it will be proceed. So that kind of prompt presentation, the kind of the main one is the presentation is just concentrated, and the kind of priority to the news items which will be then. So then will be kind of fonts, which kind of a fonts able to just get more attraction. So what kind of headlines will be just given, the coining the headlines, the more crucial one, more important one, they identified and just started to just give the prominence to the importance and given them a significant time, significant of space for the particular news service, which is considered as more prominent one. So that way he's been considered one of the main initiated in the just making the changes in the Times of India early stages. So when trained journalist Thomas Joel Bennett became the editor of the paper, so he brought out a series of improvements. So again, the continuation, the kind of improvement, the kind of a continuation, the kind of improvements go on continuously. So then under the Thomas Joel Bennett as well as also just continued the improvements. Next, he discovered the talent and devoted himself to make the Times of India a newspaper preferred by more and more people. Later, he became the sole proprietor. So Bennett Coleman. So this man right now we will call Bennett Coleman, who is the right now owner of the Times of India. That how it will just from the Robert, how will it transfer to this Thomas Bennett. So how the transformation is taken place. How he with the improvements, so that way he also just more keen about just making certain kind of improvements, so that it became more just the appearance, the kind of presentation. It will just give the more attractive look, so that people able to just purchase and just go through that way. That is the kind of the kind of improvements, the kind of changes is brought. So with high standards in contents and the excellence in printing, the Times of India recorded a continuous process of growth. So it's keen, its interest, its dedication, whatever inputs that he put. So continuously just let the Times of India just go further and just improvise. That way, the kind of efforts he will just put to just improve the standards, just see the contents, the kind of presentation should be there. So there will be this allotment of a particular timing, particular issue, particular content, particular place. That way, just giving the prominence to the each and every issue, that will is more promptly just from time to time it's getting that and just immediately just publishing on his paper. So next one, Times of India's owners, as important even in the history of the Times of India was its transfer to Indian hands in 1946. How it will be transferred? So when it was Times of India, it is owned by British India, so that from British India to the Indians, it will handed over in to this newspaper in 1940s, transferred in 1946. Next, we'll discuss about the statesman. How did the statesman started? The first statesman, was founded in 1875 in Calcutta. The Englishman was started in 1811 by Robert Knight, who was previously the principal founder editor of the Times of India. So the person, the Robert Knight, so who was already associated with the earlier he associated with the Times of India. He's just thought about and brought about the newspaper. The Englishman was started. So Knight founded the statesman and new friend of India on 15th January 1875, which later adopted the current name. So that is the way. So this statement was founded in 1875 under the Robert Knight's editorship. So statesman and new friend of India. So the kind of the Knight both he has been founded with statesman and new friend of India on 15th January. So which later adopted the current name. So that very statesman the name was changed in 1875. Yes. Next, statement managed by the British corporate group. So until it transferred ownership to the Indian company in the mid 1980s, 1960s. The first editor assigned his under this new ownership was Pran Chopra. So in 1916, Pran Chopra was given the editorship to just manage and just look at the content how it will just be published. The Statement Award for rural reporting is presented to the outstanding journalists every year, irrespective of affiliations, to further the social uplifting of the indigent from India. So this is a statement award for rural reporting still continuously going on. So it's giving those who are just concentrating the way. So next, we're moving on to the Hindu. So how it will be Hindu started. So six young men, so all came together to establish the thought, the similar thoughts, similar kind of ideology, similar kind of thinking. So they came together all in their 20s. They were just in 20s founded the Hindu Hindu in Madras on September 20, 1878. Two of them is Subramaniam Iyer, next M. Veera Raghavacharya. So stayed on later to just become the joint proprietor of the paper, which started as a weekly and became a daily in 1889. So how it started. So how the people who just thought about them thinking about starting a newspaper from the Madras region. So they will just formed a group. So they were started. So then two of them continued this newspaper. It was started as a weekly. Then it became a daily in 1889. Next, Hindu and its editor Subramania Iyer was over from the beginning closely associated with the Congress, and Subramania Iyer had the distinction of moving the first resolution in the first Congress session in Mumbai in 1885. So he's an ardent follower, and he's more associated with the Congress. So that was first. He was the first person who was first Congress session. He passed the resolution in Mumbai in 1885. So his this close association was to continue even after the independence. Subramania Iyer, who started his life as a college lecturer, who was a great social reformer. He used to use the columns of the Hindu to propagate his views. So through his columns, he dedicated to just his views, his opinions through his earlier he was been lecturer. So then he from lecturer to just he used the Hindu and his opinion pieces to just give his views on different issues of particular region, for maybe related to the social awakening, it will about to the national importance, nationalism, the kind of comments, opinion. He go on just continuously writing in Hindu newspaper. Next, Hindu changed the hands in 1905. So when Kasturanga Iyengar, so a lawyer, brought it and became its editor. So that way, so in 1905, the Hindu changed it from Subramania to the Kasturanga Iyengar. So yes, Rangaswamy, the versatile writer whose editorial was charged with the power and emotion. So that kind of so whatever Rangaswamy was the one of the versatile writer considered. So through his writing, through his opinions, through his articles, through his columns, he is able more popular. The kind of usage of words, the kind of powerful words that will able to just instigate, that will able to motivate people, that will encourage the people to participate in the national movement. The kind of attitude, that kind of the approach, the kind of presentation, the kind of using the coining the words is more elegant way. That way able to just instigate that people to motivating the people. That is the is more popularly known as his writing. So that is called the versatility. So he's able to just encourage, able to just motivate the people. Rangaswamy's strong editorials on the Punjab atrocities in 1999 led to the demand from the government for security of rupees 2,000 rupees under the Press Act. So the kind of, I mean, 1919, so the when, I mean, the British India government committed the, I mean, kind of atrocities in 1919 that done. So he's gone on and continuously, his relatives continuously criticized the acts taken by the acts committed by the acts done by the British India government. So that way, so they attracted the kind of ire from the British India government under the Press Act. He asked to just deposit the 2,000 rupees as a security for me just writing the articles, writing the editorials against the 1919 Punjab atrocities. So that way, next, I mean, Hindu's entry was banned in the Britain in 1918. So because of this editorialship, it's kind of a column that will just banned. So Nizam of Hyderabad, yeah, Nizam of Hyderabad also had the distinction of banning the Hindu in 1923 because he did not like some articles on Hyderabad published in the newspaper. Even in Nizam Hyderabad, in the provincial governments, that means state government in Hyderabad, so that also this Nizam also banned this newspaper that, I mean, written against the, I mean, British government. Yeah, Rangaswamy Iyengar became the editor in 1928. So he performed the duties of the both an editor and a congressman. So Iyengar, so the both writers is parallelly just handled the both the roles, both the, I mean, successfully handled the both the kind of activities, both kind of responsibilities. So where, I mean, working as a congressman, where you were supposed to just act as, I mean, congresspersons and move on the just pass on the resolution, just work as, I mean, congressman as well as his, I mean, editor. So just continuously writing through his, I mean, newspaper or managing the newspaper. That's the kind of, I mean, through roles he's played. So Rangaswamy was secretary of the Indian National Congress for many years and also a leading member of the party in the Central Legislative Assembly. So how is what he was the secretary of the, I mean, Indian National Congress. So after the death of Rangaswamy Iyengar, Kasturi Srinivasan, son of the Kastur Ranga Iyengar, took over as the managing editor of the paper in 1934 and remained in that post till his death in 1959. So that way, so Kasturi Srinivasan from the Rangaswamy Iyengar, so the son who just taken as until his the editor, managing editor of the newspaper, so till 1959. So that had how it mean the kind of fate we just moved to the other person, the moved to the his son. So it was the first Indian newspaper to have its own plane service for distribution of the newspaper to its far-flung readers in 1963. So that kind of it's the kind of a service to distribute the throughout the India, so the kind of a distribution. So no, we know. So what kind of, I mean, I mean, efforts, what kind of efforts they will put to this while, I mean, this, they will just print. So the printed papers should be distributed so as early as possible, so that it will reach early morning to the people who will just waiting for the newspapers. That kind of, I mean, distribution. So that way, in order to just improvise this, I mean, circulation, improvise their reach. So just, I mean, he is, I mean, the first newspaper that will have in the own plain services to distribution of the paper. The Hindu was the first newspaper launched its facsimile edition in Coimbatore, later extended it to this Bangalore and Hyderabad and Madurai. So that kind of, I mean, facsimile is also just one kind of a mail. So whatever the, I mean, information that will get they transform the through fax kind of a text that will able to just the other person able to get the information and will able to just take a decision, just give it to the printing the particular items. That is the main way that kind of, I mean, new whatever the invention, whatever the new technology is there, they will be able to just adapt and it will be able to just use it. So again, it was the first to introduce the prototype setting for printing the paper. So that's the one kind of the advantage, the kind of a technical advancement, the kind of a technological usage. So more, they are more flexible. They're more curious to just take up the whatever the new technology come, whatever the new innovations come. They will take them. They will just use it, just make it the newspaper more attractive way, more presentable way. So that's why in 1960s, 1979, the Hindu brought out a sports weekly, Sports Star. So first Sports Star in 1984, the Frontline. So then again it will be Frontline. A fortnightly news magazine. It will appears with the news pictures as a strong point. So right now, it's still now it's continuing Sports Star and as well as Frontline magazine. So during the Corona days, so Sports are, I mean, started printing. So I think it's now it's resumed. It's now printing regularly. So that's the way. So how it will be, they will spoke. I mean, just discuss about the Times of India, Statesman, and the Hindu, the newspaper, the major newspaper that will played crucial role. So how they will started in India. So we'll move on to the freedom struggle and the role of the press. So what kind of role the newspaper has played during this freedom struggle? So Indian newspaper struggle has a unique nature in the whole history of the freedom struggle. So newspaper uses their pens and papers as a powerful weapons. So as we know, popular says popular kind of so pen is mightier than swords. So the kind of way, so the kind of way, the kind of opinion, the kind of article, the kind of motivating content that will able to just instigate, that will able to motivate, that will to encourage, that will fill the enthusiasm of people. So the kind of elements, the kind of content that will able to newspaper, that the person of the editor, maybe the columnist, the people who will read, so it will influence the public through their articles, through their columns. So editors of Indian newspaper use the pens like sharp swords to harass the alien government and to just make deep thirst at their vulnerable points to expose their oppression and exploitation. So that kind of so the kind of exploitation, the kind of oppression activities taken by the British India government, they continuously just go on writing the news articles in the form of news articles column and publishing the news items. So against the newspaper, they go on carrying the kind of way, the kind of a more aggressive. They are just adopted the aggressive ways to just highlight the content, highlight the news items, highlight the atrocities, highlight the oppression activities. So the kind of exploitation they were doing, so that the early stages, that way they been though they have certain kind of a restriction, that kind of have been license system, the kind of a regulation. Still, instead of this, all this been restrictions, they all go on just continuously go on writing the articles against the British government. So the period that followed in 1957 was the fertile ground for the growth of the national consciousness in the country. So the first mutiny will be the first struggle for the independence that will be in 1957 to April. So that given the impetus that propel the factor that it instigated the factor among the people that will they're able to create the national consciousness, so that we're able to instigate that we are one, so we need to work together, we need to just uh, fight together to just get our freedom from the British India governments. That kind of nationalism, the kind of uh, the kind of elements, the kind of more people that became more popular, the nationalism, national consciousness kind of things, oneness. So we can, with oneness, we can able to just achieve our independence. That kind of the kind of activity, the kind of mentality developed. So after this 1957 mutiny, so to support the nationalist cause in response to the exploitation and humiliation, the nationalist newspapers were started during this period. So 1957 to 1918, the Amrit Bajar Patrika, the Indian Mirror, the Hindu Patriot, the Sanjeevani, the Bengali in Bengal, so the Hindu, the Swadeshi Mitran, the Andhra Prakashika, the Kerala Patrika in Madras, the Maratha, the Kesari, the Hindu Prakash, the Sudharak in Mumbai, the Advocate, the Hindustani, the Azad in UP, the Tribune, the Akbari Am, next in Kohinoor in Punjab, were some of the prominent among them. So they exposed the corruption, exploitation, arrogance, and racial discrimination of the British government, aroused the national feelings and patriotism. This kind of a patriotism, this kind of igniting this feelings, the national feeling, that able to the patriotism, igniting the patriotism and the feelings of the people through. So they will expose the corruption, what kind of corruption, the kind of explosion, the kind of exploitation, the kind of arrogance, the kind of racial discrimination that showed by the British India through this newspaper from 1857 to 1818. So the Anand Patrika will say, Anand Patrika, the Kesari Maratha, the Kesari Maratha Hindu Press, the Kerala, the Andhra Prakashak Patrika, the Swadeshi Mitram. So these are, yes, somebody has raised hand. So do you have any doubts? Yes? No, no? Right. Uh, yes, moving to the next. They export kind of this is a newspaper that will expose the kind of atrocity, the kind of exploitation. Next, how this press acts acted as been more uh, as opposition. So early act and the policy of the government was subjected to a sharp criticism when Tilak was sentenced to 18 months imprisonment. Talking to an official, he said, Anglo-Indian newspaper have branded me anti-British, but they forget that I pay the highest tribute to the British and their character by following their example. Again, as there is no opposition in India, somebody has to perform the duties of the opposition. So that kind of way. So there will be it is a democratic country. In democratic country, we need a strong opposition. Then only whatever the drawbacks, whatever the kind of activities they when somebody is to raise, somebody to just point out, somebody is to just talk about. So the kind of activities, the kind of failures, the kind of discrimination, the kind of activities taken by the main ruling party. So that is the main. So that the main intention of this Tilak was when it's saying when it's published in this paper. His intention was to I'm just working as the opposition. So whatever the atrocities, whatever the failures, the kind of drawbacks, I'm just highlighting as I'm acting as the opposition to the present the British India government. That will be through the publication this newspaper. So I have constituted myself and my two newspaper as a permanent opposition of the government of India during the British India government. That is highlighted in this newspaper as well as. Next, what kind of first is acting as opposition role. Next is organizing role. Next is the most newspapers acted as the organizers and the publicists of the nationalism. The first resolution of Indian National Congress was moved by G. Subramaniam Iyer, the editor of Hindu, and newspaper was also carried out the task of propagating its resolution proceeding. So that way, so the whatever the National Congress was taken, the resolution, the proceeding will be published in the newspaper, and other newspapers prominently given the space, more space to the activities, the kind of appeal, the kind of a movement, the kind of they were just taking up. So what kind of appeal, what kind of a call they were given. So that will be propagated, that will be published in the newspapers, in regional newspapers as well as the major newspapers. So that is the kind of way. So the is organizing the people, it will motivate the people through its call-ups, through its articles. So some way it will just, as well as creating the national consciousness, as well as the nationalism, igniting the national feelings, or just asking the people just to be united, to be work together, then we will be able to achieve the independence. That kind of elements, that kind of motivating, that kind of organizing whatever the suppose certain kind of sessions, that kind of conferences, that kind of public addresses, that if somebody from Congress, some leader is coming, that kind of so they will motivate, they will just publish this about the what kind of sessions they had. So who just spoke about, so what kind of feelings, what kind of attitude, what kind of activities they're taking up, everything will be published in newspaper. So that kind of will just giving the propagation, it will giving the promoting the kind of national feelings, as well as mobilizing the people to the oneness, to the just also getting the national consciousness. That is the main kind of an organizing role that is played. So next, one more thing has been, as I said, press as a mobilizer, as well as the influence of press was not confined to the cities and large towns, extended beyond its beyond its literate subscribers and reached remote villages. So that kind of a remote villages, so in some remote villages, when the newspaper it will reach the remote villages, one person who is literate, he able to just speak about the read about the newspapers. So what about the written? So what kind of appeal, what kind of activities taken through the India? So what kind of a call given the popular leaders at the particular time? So that kind of main intention, the kind of the people will just read out and just people just they will able to just discuss the activities, that kind of information that will share. So that we're able to just giving the mobilization, that giving this to just whatever the call given by the non, so how there will be kind of non-cooperation movement. Gandhi is given non-cooperation movement, Quit India movement, Dandi Satyagraha. This kind of a movement that got popularity, that got mobilization from the people, as well as they will popularly participated in the particular movements. That is the kind of a mobilizing factor, that mobilizing aspect that will just propel the people, just given instigated the people just move ahead and just work together to just participate in the movements given by the Gandhiji, the national leaders at the during that particular timing. So that is the main kind of a local library would be organized around a single newspaper. So there will be people, somebody will donate their room, one single room, and maybe it will be like in Rajamandri, it will be somewhere in Madras as well as in Telangana, so in Mahabubnagar. So that kind of library, they will just dedicate one library. They will just there people just assemble there. They will be able to discuss the contents written in the newspapers. That kind of that through this pieces of the news they will be able to aware of the what is happening in the India, what is happening in the nearby regions, provincial states. So every piece of news and editorial comment so would be read and heard, thoroughly discussed. So the kind of they will discuss, they will read, they will thoroughly discuss, they will able to take up the activities, they will take up the call and is able to participate in the movement. So the newspaper not only became a form of political participation, so they became more conscious. So they will be more politically motivated, politically kind of given kind of encouragement, kind of this inputters, kind of this. It will be as acted as propelling factor through news items. It will be this encourages the people to participate, kind of the participate in the movement. So that's been one kind of it's been newspaper work has been opposition, as well as the mobilizer, as well as the organizer. So that is the main key roles that been newspaper has played. So next we'll discuss about how it is press is divided during these days. So press during this freedom struggle can be broadly classified into three categories. So namely the Anglo-Indian press, the Indo-Anglo press, so on vernacular press. This is how this newspaper was press is divided. One is namely Anglo-Indian press, the Indo-Anglo press, and the vernacular press. The Indian Anglo press is referred to English press in India, which was owned and maintained by the Britishers. So Anglo-Indian press that was owned and maintained by the English press. The name itself indicates that Anglo-Indian Indian press. The main of the Anglo-Indians, they were supposed to own, they were supposed to print. They are just own and as well as printing the newspapers, managing the press. Next, Indo-Anglo press. So was an English press in India, which was founded and maintained by the Indians. That is, they and Indo-Anglo press is just press maintained, founded, and maintained by the Indians. It was an English newspaper that will be published, that will be maintained by the Indians. The vernacular press is referred to the newspaper published in various Indian languages. So that will be different Indian languages. It will be Kannada, it will be Telugu, it may be Marathi, it may be Bengali, it may be Punjabi, it may be Urdu, it may be Persian. So the kind of a regional language that will be able to just publish in throughout the different countries, throughout the country in different regions. So that is the press is divided in India. The Anglo-Indian vernacular press were the strong supporters of the struggle. The Anglo-Indian newspapers were established by the Britishers in 19th century. The important papers among them were the Englishman, Statesman in Calcutta, the Madras Mail, the Madras Times in Madras, the Times of India in Mumbai, the Civil and the Military Gazette in Lahore, the Pioneer in Allahabad. So this is the papers, the popular papers maintained by the Anglo. Next, moving to this, the Hindu. So wrote in 19. So the press how they will more active in during independence days, during pre-independence days. So Hindu wrote in 1919. The most Anglo-Indian newspapers seem to consider themselves the watchdog of the British government in this country. The English being a link language in India, the Indo-Anglian press played a pivotal role in creating, promoting the Indian nationalism and supporting the freedom struggle. So that is a way. So in 1909, so how is the newspaper just the Hindi newspaper just highlighted. So what is this English is linking language throughout the country. So we have in different regions, we have different language, different people have to speak different languages. So this is the one kind of a linkage, one kind of a link that will be able to establish with other regions. Those who are able to just those who have been learned persons able to connect with the national leaders, so that the ideas, the kind of ideology, the kind of activities that will be shared, that will be just propagated, that will be supported, and that will be able to just create that national consciousness, nationalism, national feelings. That is the kind of the English played the language, English language played crucial role. Next, the Hindu in the Madras, the Amrit Bazaar Patrika, the Hindu Patriot in Calcutta, the Mumbai Chronicle Mumbai, the Leader in Allahabad, the Independent, the National Herald in Lucknow, the Tribune in Lahore were some of the important papers among the Indo-Anglian newspapers. So this is the major papers that will played a crucial role from the different regions. So through the columns, the news articles, they will just write against the British India government. Next, Bipin Chandrapal. So we'll discuss about the who's persons, three persons who just been initiated, they have been taken the activities. So one of the prominent persons in India. So Bipin Chandrapal was of first the Calcutta correspondent of the Hindu of Madras. See, Rajagopalachari edited Gandhi's Young India, which was published from Ahmedabad, and it promoted the nationalism among leaders and peoples belonging to various regions and languages. So that is why the Bipin Chandra was the Calcutta correspondent of the Hindu of Madras. So from different regions, so how the major persons have played uh, the key role in the pre-independence days. Next, we'll speak about the Bal Gangadhar was born in Ratnagiri, Mumbai constituency. He had initial education in Pune. So in the year 1876, so he passed the graduation BA examination, secondary first class. So after BA, he studied law and the passed the LLB and the examination in 1879. So the way the main persons who just mean how they will is they educated, how they will just got to know how they kind of what kind of factors, the aspect they're motivated to just take up and able to just publish the newspaper. Just thought about the beginning about the newspaper. So Tilak and then Agarkar, the two friends felt that they should do something in education field for upliftment of their motherland. Tilak decided to start two newspapers, Kesari in Marathi and Maratha in English. So Tilak had explained about the nature of Kesari as a Kesari will be fearlessly and impartially discuss the all problems. So these are the two friends that will able to start it when newspapers. So Tilak as well as when Tilak as a Agarkar, the two friends that felt that when they should do something in education field for the upliftment of the motherland. So the Tilak started two newspapers, Kesari in Marathi and Maratha English. See, the Kesari in Marathi, Maratha in English, two newspapers. Tilak explained about the nature of the Kesari as a Kesari will fearless in the kind of mean. So through his expression, so the Kesari kind of mean fearless, impartial, it will able have the scope, freedom, sorry, discuss all the problems, all the without kind of any kind of fear, any kind of a favor. So it will just fearlessly able to speak. Next, we'll move on to the enemy set. Who's the enemy set? He's great orator. He'll be able to just speak eloquently. So continuously, so, does he had a speeches. Attracted more motivated youth as well as more. She got the more popularity through speeches only. So she born in 1847. So second press of India. Even she's second president of the Theosophical Society from 1907 to 1930. She was an outstanding orator of her time, a champion of human freedom, educationist, philanthropist, author with more than 300 books and pamphlets to her credits. She was her mother was basically she was a teacher. So she's able to go along with her mother, so able to just go along and they will able to just follow her mother. That kind of way, that kind of a following her mother, the kind of a speech, the kind of way the teach her mother. So she got the kind of fear, the kind of able to just how to speak, how to just get them in more attract. The way the speech will be more attractive with the kind of a way, the kind of a calling about the kind of a usage of words that will be more kind of way that means she became more orated. So she's her role model was mother. So her role model she followed her mother. So that way she became popular. So next, yeah, she a new period in Adolescent's life began in 13s when she became active in Indian politics and gave lead by claiming home rule for India. So the kind of a call, so claiming that home rule, so we need to have our home rule. The home rule should be so the people should be the Indian people should able to lead. People need to likely to rule our homeland. So no other people not supposed to rule our country. So the kind of a call, the kind of a claims she has given the home rule for India. The home rule movement she organized, organized and spread over India. She used all her resources to bring together on the common platform of All India Home Rule League, the two sections of the Indian National Congress, which had divided it since 1977, sorry, 1907. So the kind of a two sections. So All India, she just establishes, this the given the it supported the Home Rule League. So that way that will continues to carry and she able to just spread the kind of way intention, the kind of when movement for what purpose the home rule we need. So we need to just have our own rule. That kind of a message will able to spread through the India. Later, she was elected president of the Indian National Congress, inspiring the Indians with a dynamic vision of India's future. So that way is through her speeches able to just go on just those her dynamic speeches, dynamic way, they able to just deliver the messages, to able to just give the what kind of a future we able to establish, what kind of a future will we have our youth. So we how will succeed, how will develop. So if we able to just get an independence, that kind of a vision, that kind of a future version through dynamic speeches, through the great way. I mean, the message, the kind of speeches able to instigate the people. So so also she's giving the vision. So to the youth, so how to just how to think about, how to just move further. So that way is how the she is given the call. She started the Young Men's Indian Association in 2014 to train them for public work, and donated Gokhale Hall in Madras as a center for national awakening and free speech. So she has donated her home in Madras so that people will sit together and able to discuss, able to chalk out the programs further in South India, how to just move further, how to just propagate, how to just carry forward the ideology, the national leaders, how to just instigate the people, how to just motivate the people, the kind of speeches. So that way, the dedicated her house, so one room, Gokhale Hall in Madras. So that way, able to people can sit together and check out. So in 1914, so Mrs. Annie Besant acquired the Madras Standard and Daily, named it in New India. So that way, the newspaper started.